Welcome. We have a special guest today, Tacko Fall, the Boston Celtics. Thanks for joining us.
No problem.
Okay, so first, I just want to get into like your story. You're
Mhm.
from Dakar, Senegal. Did I say that right?
Yep, yep.
Can you just talk about, from what you remember, just like your experience growing up there, like the challenges that you faced?
Yeah. I mean, Dakar. If you guys don't know, Dakar, Senegal is a country in West Africa. It's um, it's very pretty. It's very chill. People over there are one of the best people around the world you can find. Very welcoming. So I grew up there until I was around 16. Came to America then. Went to Houston, but I mean, growing up, it was like any other African kid. You just go to school, you play soccer, you just do regular stuff on the daily. And basketball didn't get into my life until I was 16,
Oh, wow.
pretty much. Yeah.
So when did you know that? Did you fall in love with basketball immediately as you started playing, or did it like grow over time?
No, it grew. It definitely grew over time.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So it's like you were a tall kid, and everyone obviously always come up to you and say you should play basketball. You're so tall, blah blah blah. And that's pretty much how it started. Someone that saw me just randomly came and talked to my mom, and I started in his academy for like 6 months, and then from there it just picked up. So when he came to talk to my mom, the goal was to come to the States initially, um, which ended up happening. That 6 month period was just for them to work over the paperwork stuff, and I got here. I had no idea. I mean, I knew of basketball. Like I've seen, and I knew of some players, the famous ones like Michael Jordan, Shaquille O'Neal,
Yeah.
the famous African players, maybe like Mutombo or Hakeem Olajuwon. But I never would have imagined that basketball would be my passion or my career going forward. So it took time for me to to learn about the process, like the work you have to put in, and for you to enjoy that, you have to enjoy playing basketball. And for me, it was just the competition part of it. That's what made me fall in love with basketball. Because once I started playing, and at first I was struggling because I had no experience in the game, and that's when being stubborn is good, because I refused to just be bad at it. So I worked, I studied the game, I fell in love with it, and I was fortunate. I had some great coaches. I had some great teammates who pushed me, especially when I got to Florida, playing with and against good competition. You want to make sure you don't fall behind, or you want to even get to a point where you're better than all of them. So that really pushed me to work, and I just fell in love with all of that, and here we are now.
Yeah. So do you recall that flight coming to the United States for the first time? Were you like, what were your emotions? Like, what were you thinking on that first flight out here?
Yeah, I was actually excited.
Really?
Oh yeah, I was excited because um, I've never been out of the country before. That was my first time being on the plane,
Yeah.
and you only hear of America in like the TV and stuff. So I had it was just about curiosity. I just wanted to know what it was all about. So I was excited at first, most definitely.
When you got here, what surprised you the most?
Well, that everywhere is not like New York with like tall buildings and
Yeah.
things like that. Yeah, you have the country. You have it's America has like all these different places that I didn't necessarily know about. The culture is very different from what I was used to, and it was a bit of an adjustment, but everything happened quick, and it helps when you come, at a young age too.
What was the adjustment like for you going to, you went to UCF, that's where you go.
Yeah. hmm
What was college like for you, just adjusting to college in the United States? What was that experience like for you?
Well, um, my college experience might have been a little different from a lot of other like other kids' college experiences. Because first I went to UCF, and UCF, I think if it's not now the biggest school in America, it's maybe the second behind Arizona State, something like that. So we had a lot of students around. UCF was pretty much its own city. Um, I went to Florida my junior year, so of high school, so I was very familiar with the area. I've been to UCF many times. I was comfortable, being there. I knew the coaches, I knew some of the players, so I was fine. And I tell that to a few of kids that are trying to go to college. That's very important. You can go. I could have went to bigger schools. There was a lot of options for me, but the fact that it was close to pretty much my second home, I knew I was comfortable there. I knew the coaches. I knew the players. I knew they care about me, not just on the court, but off the court. And they had a specific plan on, how they were going to work with me. And I had a vision also going to UCF that I wanted to help put the program, on the map. So that was all of that played a big factor in it. And I tell the kids now, if you want to, don't choose a college just based on the name. And it's true, the name is, is very attractive. It may be a good thing for some people, but for the most part, you gotta go somewhere where they will let you play through your mistakes and really push you. So.
Yeah, I think we're seeing that a lot more now, especially like star athletes, like making their
Mhm.
own decisions, not all going to like these big name schools, to just like bringing their schools, like putting them on the map essentially themselves.
Yeah,
So
you can build your legacy. Going to some other schools that may not, and there is nothing wrong with those big schools.
yeah,
Like, trust me, it's those schools have a lot of history. They have proven to be good for a lot of players, but it's just the majority of players. It's you got to go somewhere where you will grow to your mistakes. You can learn. It's a whole process. For me, it took me 4 years because I graduated at UCF, and my last year was my best year at UCF. So you just gotta look into all of that.
speaking of like your last year and then like putting them on the map, just talk about like that experience of playing in the NCAA tournament against Duke that second round. I mean, you went from, like you said, just being a kid in Florida. I mean, came out here to the United States and then playing on such a big stage against like a team like,
Yeah.
what was that? What was your mindset going into that game?
Oh, sorry.
That's,
Like playing against Duke.
yeah.
So so pretty much that whole year, it was the preparation for that game didn't just start during the tournament. It was throughout the whole year. Everything that we had been through throughout that year, all the adversity we had to fight through.
Because you had like a
Until
23-8 record that year, so it wasn't like
yeah,
year to
until so everything built up until that specific moment, and then when we got there, it was just like, what do you have to lose?
yeah.
Pretty much everybody looked at us as the underdogs, even though we were the older team. We had more experience. Duke, they were a great team, but they were very, very, very young. And we had to fight through a lot to go, to get to that point. And Coach Dawkins played at Duke. He played for Coach K, so that meant a lot for him. His son as well, Aubrey. So there was a lot of play, and people try to, put me against Dion, and it was just a lot of noise on the outside, but on the inside between us, we were just focused on pretty much what we've been doing all year. Stick together, stick to our principles. They had a really good game plan that we follow, and the rest, you guys saw what happened, and it was a really close game until the end.
Yeah. So then after the tournament, you're preparing for the NBA drafts. That
Mhm.
night, I mean, like you didn't get drafted, but just the fact that like, what was that like for you? I mean, a lot of people could be in that situation because you were there that night, and then to
Mhm.
not hear your name get called, you could have. I mean, so many people could have just like gotten really down on themselves and like use that as a moment to just give up. But like you didn't allow that to stop you from chasing your dreams essentially and
Mhm.
continuing to make it where you are today.
Mm.
What was that like for you, and how are you able to use that as like motivation to keep going, essentially?
Yeah. So for me, obviously, like we just talked about the tournament. The tournament was a big help
Mhm.
as far as like showing people a glimpse of what I can do. So from there, a lot more people knew who I was. A lot of people knew how much I've gotten better from my freshman year to my last year in college, and that allowed me to have more opportunities. So I went to the G League Combine and I did really well in the G League Combine. Then I went to the NBA Combine and I did well on the NBA Combine, and I did well on the majority of my workouts. So I've at first I wasn't even I was maybe being considered a little bit, but not that much. I went from there to being really considered to being drafted. So I knew that if I kept going, kept working the way I was working, kept doing the things I was working, and just staying true to myself, eventually things were going to work out. And you're right. I went to the draft and I didn't get drafted, and it's normal. Everybody, in this moment, I was like, man, like what's going to happen now? And you get worried, but I knew that a few teams were going to reach out, so it was just a matter of knowing what would be the best situation for me. And Boston was the first team to call, and just from that moment, you could really tell that they were really excited about me coming to Boston, and they were very persuasive and they kept pushing. I waited when they called. I didn't automatically make the decisions. There was I think a couple more teams that were being considered, and then until finally I was like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna go to Boston, and I worked out for Boston my sophomore year in college, so I knew a little bit, about who they were and things like that. So that summer after the draft, I said, okay, I'm going to Boston. Then I got to Boston. Then I could really see how excited they were. Um, all of them, pretty much all the high ups in the organizations reached out to me. And once they did that, I was like, yeah, this is you know this was supposed to happen. Like maybe I just looked at it as maybe if I had gotten drafted, things would have been like this, and I ended up in the almost perfect situation with a great team, great teammates, great coaches, great front office, great organizations overall, and it's been great for me. So I just looked at it as now like everything happens for a reason. God put you through different situations, and you just gotta make the best out of it.
It's more so just like trusting his plan, like even when you don't understand it, like even
Hmm.
you felt like, man, I don't know what's gonna happen next, but just trusting it and knowing that
For
like
sure.
so what was it like for you when you finally got to like bring the pen to the paper of signing your contract with the Celtics? What did that, I mean, just everything that you've overcome and all the challenges you faces to finally like get to that point where you got to sign your contract. What did it mean to you?
That I still had a lot to prove. I mean, you just don't get the my goal is obviously it was to get to the NBA, but it's to last in the NBA. So yes, I got my foot on the door. I'm there, but the work is just getting started now.
Mhm.
Even though it was a long summer, you don't get any break. You go from college to the pre-draft workouts to everything that has to come with it. Summer league, you got the draft, then summer league, then training camp. But you gotta see like all that work that was just to get you in. So now the real work starts. So once I got it, it was like, okay, like you gotta keep going, you gotta keep working. And I want to play in the NBA for a very long time, and that's what I'm focused on. And I want to be the best player I can possibly become. And who knows what's that's going to be. And I have very high expectations for myself. A lot of people believe in my potential and what I can do, and I just have that in mind. And and like I said, God gave me all these gifts for a reason, and I'm just trying to utilize them the best of my capability.
Yeah, and then just talking about like getting better, you are in a two-way contract, so you're with the Red Claws. How do you think the G League has just helped you? I mean, I feel like why should people look at the G League as like beneficial? Like, how has it benefited your game and preparing you for the NBA?
Well, before I got to the G League, I've heard of a lot of stories, about the G League, and uh, a lot of them were not very encouraging. Um,
Sometimes people
yeah,
just few weeks.
like a lot of people would, tell you about. I'm like, you know what, like it's not like I'm on the two-way contract, so I'm going to be going to the G League and going to Boston. And I started in Boston. We did training camp, played the first. I was in the first few games, played my first game at the Garden. Then the G League season started. Then we went. Tremont and I went, and you could just see all that the atmosphere in the G League, just that sense of camaraderie with all those, all the other players that we had, and the coaches. The coaches, a lot of them were in Boston doing training camp, so we had to be familiar with them. And then playing in the G League, a lot of those G League players that you see have NBA talent. A lot of them can be in the actual NBA roster. It's just they don't maybe have the opportunity. But a lot of them can play in the NBA. So you get to play night in, night out, and that playing experience is the most important thing in my opinion. You can, it wouldn't have done me much of a favor to just sit on the bench and not play much, where I can be in the Celtics organization. I get all the coaching, everything that comes with it, and I get to, the playing time in the G League. It's a win-win. So for me, that process was very fun. Obviously, there was times where I would, there was everything is not always perfect, but for the most part, I feel like I reaped the benefit of going to the G League, playing all those games, getting that game experience, and then going back to Boston, getting all that coaching, playing in practice, playing in a couple games here and there, and fans in Boston and Maine have been amazing to me. So I've been really, really blessed, and it's been fun. I really saw the benefit of, and personally, I would encourage, like, don't be afraid. Just as long as you go and give it your all and do what you have to do and stay true to yourself, and everything works out at the end.
How do you feel like your game has grown since being in college to your first year in the NBA? How do you feel like your game has grown?
It tremendously. But like I said, I'm just I feel like I'm just getting started. I've my game, like I can just see, like every game that I've played, every time I get into practice, I just feel the game a lot better. I move a lot better. So it's just every year, every day, pretty much. Just feel like I'm taking strides, and so it's been, like I said, it's night and day from when I started, even when I went to college, even my last game in college until now. It's like I'm a whole different player, and but it's just I'm not satisfied. I still want to get better. I want to be the best that I can possibly be. So I'm going to keep working, and we'll see.
What did it feel like for you when you like your first game in TD Garden? I mean, I heard that's a pretty special place. So what did it feel like for you when you got to experience that?
Man, they say that that was almost like a playoff atmosphere, and for that to happen my first game, and like I say, to see all those people, care about my story and cheer for me, and that meant the word to me.
I mean, yeah, you're definitely a fan favorite. I think you were number 6 in like fan voting for the All Stars. What is that like? Do you ever just sit with it and think about like this is your first year and to be number 6 in fan voting, like just how much people love you, like you said, like your story, and I hear just like great things just about like your personality and you as a person. I mean, just like all that attention, all that fandom, like does it ever get overwhelming, or are you just soaking it in and just like enjoying it?
Yeah, I mean, you can't. You gotta embrace it. It's some things you don't run away from, and like I said, it's nothing that I've done. I don't think it's anything that I've done. I don't think it's anything that I've said. I've always tried to stay true to myself, and it's just a blessing from God. And for me, that's the way I've looked at it, and that have made me embrace it even more. You don't turn away what God has given you. So looked at it that way, embraced it, and you know, the rest, you know, you guys know is history.
Yeah. So speaking of like the platform that God's given you, what's one like what do you want to achieve before you leave Earth? Like what's just the biggest thing that you just want to achieve? Just I mean just being a also being a basketball player, but like what do you just want to achieve for yourself? Like what's a goal for you?
Well, I want, for me, I want people to remember me, to know that I strive to become the best that I could possibly be on the court and off the court. That I try to inspire as many people as I could, and you know, not one man is going to change the world the way it is, but you know, if each of us strive to, you know, become the best that you can be, and you know, the rest is just going to take care of itself. For me, I just want to inspire as many people as I can, to show that you can do anything that you put your mind into, with faith, with hard work, with prayers. And I want to be able to leave my legacy as someone who's helped, you know, as many people as it could, especially back home. I want to be able to, you know, carry the legacy of other players that had come before me, and add to that, help some of the kids that are going to follow, you know, after me, and that are going to come and, you know, try to have a better future for themselves and for their families. And, you know, pretty much, yeah.
And then like speaking of back home, like what does it mean to you to just be like the face of just like hope and like I mean you made it out and made it out here to the NBA and like what does it mean to you to just like be like such an inspiration to people back home, like someone that they can look up to and have hope to do the same and follow in your footsteps, even if it's not the NBA, just to like make it and be successful and do what they love. What does that mean to you, or how important is that?
It means a lot. I don't, it's a great responsibility that, I'm really embracing. And, it's not something that, I mean, I'm still learning. I've been really involved. That's why I've been really, you know, trying to really be involved with a lot of things that the NBA, is doing, especially in Africa, and they're doing a great job just to learn as much things as I can to be able to, you know, to help those kids. And not just that, but also as a Muslim player, there's a lot of, especially nowadays, there's a lot of things that people don't know much about my religion, especially in America. They have this idea of what being a Muslim is, and for me, one of my jobs is to try to change that image to show that, you know, what type of people that we are, and what we represent. And so that's where I am. And that's who I strive to, you know, to help these kids, you know, not just the kids, but their parents and their grandparents, seeing all of us pretty much.
It doesn't seem like any pressure for you. It just seems like you just accept it. Like you just accept it.
Yeah, I mean, there's no pressure. Like I said, it's not, it doesn't come, if it was just coming from me, yeah, but I just look at it as a, you know, coming from a higher place. So I don't have it on my shoulder.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so what is your now that you are a Celtic and a Red Claw, what is your favorite part? What has been your favorite part about being a Boston Celtic?
Well, like I say, one of my favorite parts was definitely just that experience of going back and forth between the G League and the NBA. That drive from Boston to Maine.
Enjoy it?
Um, yeah, oh yeah, I would bump some music the whole time. Like I used to look forward to those drives, like, because it's just, especially, I think it was between, um what, like, fall and spring. I don't know. It's like it was just so pretty outside, and I was driving and listening to music, and it was just a good vibe. So I really enjoyed those moments. First, I would start with, you know, playing in the G League, that experience of playing in the G League, competing, you know, and just seeing myself getting better and getting better and better and better. That was an amazing experience. And coming back to Boston, you know, in those games, playing in the Garden, even sometimes on the road, it's just like just being a part of it. And you see the fruit of all your hard work and all your prayers just, you know, come to life. And I was just living my dream. But at the same time, I was just, I always had in my mind, don't get satisfied. Don't ever get satisfied. Like I said, I want to be one of the best players. I want to be the best player that I can possibly become, and I know what I'm capable of. I know what I'll be capable of if I keep working. I always have that in mind.
What's your go-to music during that drive?
I would switch it up. There was days where I would play some reggae. There was days I would play some old school R&B. There's days I would play some rap. But for the most part, it would be really chill music and some Afro beats. It would just depend because I wouldn't, because I've made that drive so much, I wouldn't want to listen to the same thing every time. So I would switch it up.
Do you have a go-to song or artist before a game?
No, it just depends on my mood that day. Of how I want to feel. If I feel like I want to be really like, I would say like aggressive, I would listen to some music that would really pump my blood, like some DMX. Um, Even recently, I started listening to some like it was like some Pop Smoke and so that type of music, which has like that type of beat that like it just gets you hype.
Yeah.
And if I feel like I'm like too hype and I want to relax, then I would listen to some reggae and sometimes some Afro beats or just things to make me relax. So mostly it just depends on how I feel that day.
If you could give your younger self advice, what would you tell your younger self right now?
Well, I would definitely tell my younger self to work on his relationship with God because I felt like, especially when I was in my younger days and coming to here, I knew who I was and what I was about, but I really neglected that side, even though I still believed, but didn't practice it as much. And even still now, I'm doing better. It's not perfect, but I'm definitely better than I used to be back in the day. And I would really tell myself to, to really work on that relationship more often. But everything else, like I said, there's not much. I mean, besides on the basketball court, there is not much that has changed about me throughout all these years. I've stayed the same. I feel like I've always been very mature. Um, so there is not much that has changed in me outside of that.
What's for the next, let's just say the next 5 years, what are your goals as far as a player in the NBA? What do you see
If
yourself?
I can, I'm, I'm aiming high. I'm aiming really, 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 really high. I want to be one of the best bigs in the NBA. I know I can do it. I mean, it's not going to be an easy road. I'm just getting my foot in the door. I'm a rookie. I know I barely played, um, but still, I have really, really high expectations for me. The higher you aim, the higher you're gonna reach. So I definitely want to be one of the best bigs in the NBA. If it is an All Star, then yes, I want to be. But it's not gonna happen overnight. I got a lot of work to do.
What advice would you give just people who maybe like been in positions where like maybe like they don't go drafted or like maybe they get the two-way contract and maybe they wanted to be on a roster. What's your what's one key advice that you would give them just throughout the whole process of just like not giving up and just like continuing to push forward?
Don't look down on any opportunity that's given to you, no matter what the opportunity is. That's just you can. Oh, and that's opportunity is the key word right there. If once you look at everything as an opportunity, then you want downplay it because you like it's an opportunity. I gotta take advantage of it. So whatever it is, don't downplay it. Give it your all. And if people see you improving, all it is, especially when you're a rookie, all they most of the time they don't expect you to come in and contribute right away. They want to see that you have a high ceiling. They want to see that you're a hard worker. They want to see that you're really good in the locker room, that you're a good person overall. So just make sure you showcase all those things and that you show that you want to be there, that you show that you want to work hard, that you show you want to get better. And they see that you have a lot of potential and just you'll be fine.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Okay, I just have a couple of questions, just random questions.
Yeah.
So, okay, if you could have dinner with any two people, dead or alive, who would they be and why?
Alive?
Dead or alive, whichever one.
Oh, dead or alive? There's one person in particular that I would love to, and he's the only one. It's Muhammad Ali.
Ah, that would be a good one. Why?
Yes.
What would you talk about? Why?
Well, I don't even think I would. I would just want to talk about his life. His life, just he's one of my biggest heroes. Just what he was about, and the thing that he stood for. He didn't care what he. I mean, of course, I mean he cared about his family, but like financially or, things like that, he didn't care how much he lost on that part. He always stayed true to himself, regardless of what anybody thought. And he obviously he was a Muslim, just like me, and he had to fight through a lot. He had to fight through adversity, and I don't think there is not a lot of people that believed in themselves as much as Muhammad Ali did. He always used to tell himself, "I'm the greatest." Like, I'm the greatest. It takes guts to do that, especially in boxing. Like, you literally throwing hands with people, and doing before you fight them, you're telling them what you're gonna do to them, and you get in the ring and you do exactly what you were gonna say you were gonna do. It's not a lot of people that have that mentality. So I would just talk to him about his life and just try to pick up that, that mindset that he had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Has been throughout your whole entire career, who has been your biggest mentor? Helped you the most?
Um, I can't name one specifically because I've had so many that have contributed in every part of my journey, from high school to college. My first college coach at UCF, then my second college coach at UCF. Um, then I've met some great players like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Who else? I met Hakeem Olajuwon when I was really, really young, my sophomore year in Houston. So all those people, and even now, some of the coaches that I have in Boston, it's every part of my journey. I've been really blessed with people who care about me, who care about who I was, and who saw a lot of potential, see a lot of potential in me, and want to make sure that I get there. And I'm really thankful to have met them for sure.
Okay, so now we're gonna just play a little game. It's called Phone a Teammate. So I'm gonna give you a situation, and then you have to tell me which teammate you would call. It could be on the G League team or on your NBA team.
Okay.
So just 5 quick questions. So if you needed to get a tattoo, so you had to trust one player to give you a tattoo, who would you phone to give you one? Who would you trust enough?
Trust. Um, I would say definitely Trey Davis from the G League.
You trust him to give you a tattoo?
Yeah, I would. I would, because I know he wouldn't do anything like, like there's that show where people try to draw some. Yeah, he wouldn't. And I'm sure like he's just an artist. He's a rapper too. So
Okay.
he imagination. Yeah.
Can't use the same person twice, okay? So for this next one, you can't use it.
Okay.
So for this one, you can pick 2 teammates. If you had to be stranded on an island, which 2 teammates would you be stranded on the island with?
Grant Williams,
Why Grant?
because first of all, he will definitely keep us entertained. Because Grant, I tell him all the time, Grant talks, and he would definitely keep us entertained. And Grant is really, really smart, and him and I on an island together would figure out a lot of things together, and we have that chemistry already.
Okay.
So,
Would you take anyone else with you?
uh,
Would you take anyone else with you?
yes. Who else would I take? I would say Ennis, but Ennis would annoy. Like, I would definitely pick Ennis, but he would annoy me so much that I wouldn't want him to be on the island. I would say Grant and Snap. I can't pick one. Tremont would annoy me too.
Anyone would, do you feel like would have like survival?
Because survival instinct. Um, survival instincts. Grant. None of the rookies besides Grant, most definitely. Um,
We
I
can,
would say either JB or JT,
okay. All right.
because JB is the athlete. He can go hunt with us.
You think he could get you guys some food?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next one. If you had to perform at a concert and you can only bring one teammate to perform with you.
One teammate to perform with me. Oh, um, which one of us is a performer? Smart is smart. Actually, if I was stuck on an island, I would pick Grant and Marcus. And the concert, I would pick Marcus too.
Why Marcus for the islands? What do you think he could?
Well, because Marcus is just very reliable.
Okay.
And I feel he's probably one, if not the most reliable, guy that I've ever seen around. Like Marcus is the type of player you always want on your team. You always, he will have your back. He does all the dirty work in our team.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, so Taco, Grant, and
Marcus.
All right, on an island. Okay, and then for performing, you would pick Marcus as well?
Yeah, because he's already a rapper.
Okay, so you guys would rap. I was going to ask, what would you perform at the concert?
I wouldn't perform. I let him just perform. I'd be. Huh? No, I do the ad libs.
You could be a backup dancer if that's the case.
Oh no, I do the ad libs.
Okay, next one. If you needed a stylist, so someone on your team had to style you, who would you pick? Who would you phone call?
I would pick either JT or JB because both of them dress really well.
You would trust your wardrobe?
Either one. Yeah, most definitely.
All right, and then lastly, if you had to pick a business partner, so you were starting your own business, who would be your business partner?
Kimber.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what the business would be?
I have no idea. I just know probably Kimber.
Okay, all right, perfect. Thank you so much for being here and sitting down with me today.
No problem. Right on time. I got 2 minutes.
Oh, perfect. Look forward to seeing you. Hopefully, if season continues, look forward to seeing you.
Most definitely. All right.